Basically, when you want to do an inverter installation, the apartment or the building already has NEPA and generator. In most cases, NEPA, generator, and this changeover. So the part you will not be concerned with is this part where you put the inverter, put the second changeover, your solar, and your battery. Usually the house will have this. So let's start with that scenario. Then on the next video, we are going to treat if the house doesn't have generator and all this. So you are designing for the entire system. So in a house that has NEPA and generator already, ideally the NEPA will have a cutout fuse. So this is what a cutout fuse looks like. You can plug out the fuse, you can put it back to isolate or connect, and when the power being drawn from that power line is more than the fuse, that fuse will cut to isolate the power. So in that case, we won't be needing a breaker on the NEPA line anymore. And remember, this place you are putting this inverter already has these three setup: the NEPA, the generator, and the changeover. Then we'll get to the generator part. Generators also has breaker on them, on the generator, before it even gets to the plug or the cable that takes it to the house. So there's a breaker on the generator and it goes to the changeover. So the breaker on the generator would also serve, and with the coupled with the fact that the electrical installation has already been done, so you are just focused on the inverter part. We don't need to introduce another changeover on this part. Now let's get to the inverter part. Inverter is picking input from this output power line, which is both the NEPA and the generator, right? For the inverter input, we are going to be needing a breaker. Usually using a single pole breaker for the lifeline is enough, but in some cases you might need to put for the neutral and for the lifeline. So for the lifeline, we're going to be needing a breaker here. So we're going to put our breaker. This is the symbol of our breaker for the inputs of the inverter line. Then for the output of the inverter line, we're also going to need a breaker here. So we have two breakers already. One breaker on the input, one breaker on the output. Then for the load, you remember that this load cable is going to the distribution box of the apartment, and the distribution box is a box filled with breakers. So there are plenty of isolators here. We don't need to start putting a breaker on the output line here because the distribution box already has breakers.